Would you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I thought I heard some little voices back there. Can I have a motion to approve the March 5th, 2020 Board of Commissioners regular session agenda as presented?
So moved.
Have a motion support. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the Board of Commissioners February 20th, 2020 regular session as presented?
So moved. Support.
Have a motion and support. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Citizens' time. The next item on the agenda is citizens' time. During citizens' time, the board chair shall recognize any person wishing to address the board. A person recognized by the chair shall approach the podium and state his or her name and community of residence. A person may address the board only once on the same matter during each period set aside for citizens' time on the agenda and only on matters that are relevant to county government. The chair shall control the length of time each person shall be allowed to speak, which shall not exceed 3 minutes, and shall not allow negative personal comments. Is there anyone who would like to address their commissioners? Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Karen Scullion. I am the Calhoun County Supervisor for Meals on Wheels. I just kind of wanted to let you guys know a little bit about our program. I'm sure some of you have heard of us. We're located in the Cool Family Center, downtown Battle Creek, and we serve seniors and adults with disabilities with home-delivered meals that are homebound. We also have congregate sites that seniors and adults with disabilities that are not homebound, that they're able to come to and socialize and have meals. And I just kind of wanted to bring this up to bring a little bit of awareness to our program. March is March for Meals Month, and this is the month where we try to get out and about and tell people about our program and encourage people to refer their loved ones and family members and stuff to us, because we can help in a lot of ways. One of the ways that we do help is called, it's a quick wellness check. We can give the family members and loved ones peace of mind because we check on them day to day and make sure that they're okay. And we encourage any of you to get a hold of us if you have any questions or concerns or want to know any more about our program. Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys do all have, Helen left you some volunteer applications as well for our Community Champions Week. We're doing that the 16th through the 20th of March, but feel free, if that's not going to work in your schedule, we'd be happy to have you down for another time to tour our facilities and help volunteer with us. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to address our commissioners? Sir.
Evening, everybody. As I drop everything, my name's Tyler Auks, and I'm here tonight on behalf of Michigan State University Extension. My community of residence is actually all the way over in Cass County, though.
Welcome.
Here tonight because at the start of February, I started a new position with MSU Extension as a government and community vitality educator. Fancy sounding name, but really all it means is I'm a resource for everybody here and throughout the county for good governance, community vitality issues, specifically focusing on land use among planning commissions, land use decision makers, zoning boards of appeals. My team at Michigan State Extension does the Citizen Planner program, if you've heard about this. This is one of our signature programs that provides training to land use decision makers, whether they're your zoning administrators, planning commissions, local municipal boards, but it gives them that deep dive on what the roles and responsibilities are in making these important land use decisions. We also offer a host of programming from entrepreneurial communities, to tourism support, to financial support. We have team members all across the state that we can draw on their incredible depth and knowledge. So I'm here. I've got brochures about the Citizen Planner program. We offer it online continually, or we can work together to schedule an in-person training if your townships, cities, villages are particularly interested. That's something that we can set up as well to give them that really face-to-face quality education experience that MSU is known for. So I'm going to leave these with administrator or somebody. Awesome. And I'll be sticking around after the meeting in case anybody has any questions or anything, but looking forward to working together.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Anyone? All right, we'll move on. Elected and appointed county officials' comments. Dave? Nothing? Julie? Anybody? Okay. Special order of business. First, we have a March for Meals proclamation. Have that read into the record by Commissioner Smith.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thanks, folks, for coming out tonight. I'm just going to read this into the record and hand it off. A proclamation proclaiming March 2020 as the 18th Annual March for Meals Month, Calhoun County. Whereas, on March 22nd, 1972, President Richard Nixon signed into law a measure that amended the Older Americans Act of 1965 and established a national nutrition program for seniors 60 years and older. And whereas, Meals on Wheels America established the March for Meals campaign in March 2002 to recognize this historic month, the importance of older Americans' nutrition programs, both congregate and home-delivered meals, and raise awareness about escalating problems regarding senior hunger in America. And whereas, the 2020 observance of March for Meals celebrates 18 years of providing an opportunity to support Meals on Wheels programs that deliver vital and critical services by donating, volunteering, and raising awareness about senior hunger and isolation. And whereas, volunteers for Meals on Wheels programs in Calhoun County are the backbone of the program, and they not only deliver nutritious meals to seniors and individuals with disabilities who are at significant risk of hunger and isolation, but also caring concern and attention to their welfare. And whereas, Meals on Wheels programs in Calhoun County, Michigan provide nutritious meals to seniors throughout the county that help them maintain their health and independence, thereby preventing unnecessary falls, hospitalizations, and premature institutionalization. And whereas Meals on Wheels programs in Calhoun County provide a powerful socialization opportunity for millions of seniors to help combat the negative health effects and economic consequences of loneliness and isolation. And whereas Meals on Wheels programs like that in Calhoun County deserve recognition for the contributions that have made and will continue to make local communities, our state, and our nation. Now therefore, we, the Board of Commissioners for Calhoun County, Michigan, do hereby proclaim March 2020 as the 18th Annual March for Meals Month and urge every citizen to take this month to honor our Meals on Wheels program, the seniors they serve, and the volunteers who care for them. Our recognition of and involvement in the National 2020 March for Meals can enrich our entire community and help combat senior hunger and isolation in America. Signed, Board Chair Steve Frisbee.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve the March for Meals proclamation as presented.
So moved. Support.
Have a motion support. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. You come on up and we'll do a presentation and get a picture. Gary, I think you're part of that. Next we'll have the, thank you. Next we'll have the Senior Millage 2019 Annual Report by Helen. You're on, Helen.
Start.
Good evening. My name is Helen Guzzo. I'm the manager of Calhoun County Senior Services. And tonight I'm doing a little update of our annual report, 2019 in review. And this is the world premiere of our 2020 Senior Millage video that Brick Street Marketing in Albion. They're a new startup media company, and they did this little 2-minute and 24-second video on senior services that we're going to post on Facebook. And we're about ready to kick off touring all of the township, villages, cities, neighborhood planning councils with this presentation that I'm going to give you tonight. So you're the kickoff presentation of our annual report tour to educate voters and citizens of Calhoun County what senior millage funds in the community. So. It's Lakeyn.
Services administers tax dollars raised through the Calhoun County Senior Millage. Senior Millage was first approved by voters in 1996 to fill gaps in available services and help older adults by promoting health, safety, and wellness. The Senior Millage is renewed by voters every 10 years. Senior Millage funds 22 different programs administered by 10 trusted nonprofit organizations to provide services to Calhoun County residents aged 60 and older. Senior Millage partners with other organizations to expand available services such as home delivered meals and legal assistance. Funding priorities are decided by the Senior Millage Allocation Committee comprised of community members and county commissioners, which prioritizes community needs and makes recommendations to the Calhoun County Board of Commissioners. The Board of Commissioners appoints members to the committee and approves funding decisions. Calhoun County Senior Services administers and monitors the use of senior village funds, organizes special events for older adults, advocates for improved services in the community by identifying needs and promoting collaboration, and helps seniors connect to services. Programs such as Senior Fund Fitness, Transportation and Benefits Counseling serve all seniors regardless of income, and some programs, including home heating assistance, dental services, and minor home repair, serve seniors with limited incomes to help those most in need.
Don't hesitate to ask for help if you need it. Get out and enjoy yourself, enjoy others, take advantage of the different services that they offer.
Many services are provided without cost, but some programs encourage a cost share to help the funding go further. The mission of Calhoun County Senior Services is to enhance, promote, and ensure availability of needed quality services for Calhoun County seniors through effective and efficient allocation of county senior village resources. Senior Village funds choices for older adults while promoting safety, dignity, and independence. For more information, please contact Calhoun County Senior Services at 269-781-0846.
So we're taking that. Any place that has video capacity, we're going to show it. It's going to be on Facebook. It's going to promote knowledge. People don't know that senior millage services exist until they need them. And so we want to make sure the community knows about them so mothers and daughters and aunts and everyone else can refer seniors when they get older. And Senior Services is one of those collaborative partners, Senior Services of Southwest Michigan, that runs the Meals on Wheels program. And underneath our brochure and our annual report is an application to deliver meals. They have to give you a criminal background check before they allow you to go knock on a door of a senior to deliver a meal. So, but you could be a hopper. Every day, 10 or so volunteers in Battle Creek and 2 or 3 in Albion crisscross the county delivering about 300 meals. So they knock on frail homebound seniors. And it's a partnership that would have a wait list without senior millage. So the Older Americans Act and the state dollars that Care Services administer combine with senior millage. So it's almost $1 million program. And their food factory, they call it a food factory at the Cool Family Center, is really, it's a wonder to go look at. It's very interesting how they package the meals, and that's hot and it's fresh and it's good quality. We don't get complaints. It's a great program. So at about every dollar that's spent, about 52 cents is state and federal dollars, and 48 cents is senior millage. So it really is a great partnership between Carewell, Senior Services Southwest Michigan, and Calhoun County. So our brochure here lists our 22 different programs. Whenever I've done presentations, people are like, which ones are income tested? So we put a little star. So the little star behind each program is the ones that are tested, means tested at 200% of poverty. And they're means tested so that we're serving those most in need, so we don't have wait lists. So we don't serve people who could pay for the services themselves, but it's really targeted at those seniors who make $1,000 or less a month. And so when the furnace goes out, many of our programs like benefits counseling, senior transportation are not means tested. The wellness program, the senior fit and funness program, any senior in Battle Creek, Homer, countywide, all of our programs are countywide. So we have this brochure, lists our 22 different programs. All those programs have been long-term, stable contracts that have allowed a capacity at the Fountain Clinic to do these programs. And we are reporting to taxpayers how we spend the dollars in our annual report. So we do these 10 special events. April 8th is the senior fair at Marshall Middle School. We'd ask you it's from 10 to 1:30. We serve lunch. We're going to have about 650 seniors come through, about 90 vendors. So we invite you to do that. And then May 21st, we have the Centenarian Luncheon where we identify all seniors in Calhoun County who are 99 years and over, and we invite them to a birthday party at Schuler's. Schuler's is 110 or 111 years old this year, and they partner with us. So I'm proud to say seniors served 6,568 in 2019, and that's up from 2017. We spent the most ever because we made a supplemental of almost $300,000 to Community Action's Minor Home Repair Program because they had a wait list of about 31 seniors. So we spent 3.4. We raised $2.7 million through the tax levy of senior millage, and those go to our long-term contracts. We're going to be issuing a senior strategic projects fund to fund one-time projects to spend down the rest of our fund balance, and then to renew those one-time funding. It'll be what senior millage, because they're a tax and entity, gets from personal property tax and from the firekeeper's payment in lieu of taxes. So we're going to release about $700,000. We're going to see what we get. Senior millage is going to vet those proposals, choose the best, and bring them to you this summer for funding. I want to also talk about the mini grants. We have this mini grant program where small projects can apply to SMAC, and we have it approved in the budget that you approved. So we approved $52,000 in these mini grants that fund from $500 to $5,000 to do the sponsorship of the Wilder Creek Senior Fair. It's part of the community partnership that keeps the Albion Marshall Connector running. The Marshall Dial-A-Ride has free Wednesdays for seniors because of senior millage. We partner with the Lions Club, and so the busiest day on Marshall Dial-A-Ride is when seniors can ride free. So we do a lot of things. Serve a lot of seniors, 6,568 last year. So we appreciate you putting senior millage renewal on the ballot. August 4th, 2020, it'll go up for renewal, and that'll last for 10 years. So it's a renewal, and it creates a lot of good in our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Just comments, if I may,
Okay, go ahead.
if you don't mind. Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I just want to take the opportunity, certainly I chair that committee, Senior Millage Committee, and I just want to certainly take the opportunity to certainly praise the staff at the Calhoun County Senior Services, Helen Guzzo, Kate Turner. I know you're always going to roll your eyes, I know, but it's really true. I mean, having a very competent staff is an important way of why it's so successful. So, and I must say, I have the privilege of serving with 12 other incredible individuals on that committee. We really do good work. We fully vet things out, sometimes maybe too long in some people's estimations, but in my estimation, we do a really good job of vetting everything out, and when our recommendations come before the commission, they've been fully vetted and fully looked at. So I just want to take that opportunity. And also, too, I really like where we're going from a visionary standpoint at Calhoun County Senior Services, and that's probably why this ballot and this election is such an important thing, because we're doing really good work. Because if many of you looked at that map on the 2019 demographics, you'll see that there's some areas that we've been very successful at in terms of identifying and communicating those senior services to people, but also looking at those areas that we would consider to be underserved and really focusing on those areas to make sure that those seniors in those areas are going to be communicated with, so that we can provide them with services so that they know that those even exist. So again, great work by everybody involved, and I'm just glad to be part of the team. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Please look at this map. It is accountable. It shows exactly, people would say LBN has such high need and we're underserving. Well, no, that's not the case. We serve 66% of the seniors in LBN Township, probably mostly through the Forks Senior Center, but through the Meals on Wheels program, through the minor home repair. The RAMPS program has really improved their community visibility. So in Laura Stevens, who's been a longtime staff member, she announced her retirement. So she's going to retire from Calhoun County after almost 12 years, the day after the senior fair, thankfully, because she's that.
Yeah, she's good at it.
We're having a reception for her. We'll invite everyone in the county on Friday, May 3rd from 2 to 4 in the garden level conference room, just to recognize her 12 years of service. She's been with Senior Services for 6 years. She started out in HR. So we appreciate and thank her for her dedication and wish her the best.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to deviate from the agenda for just a moment. You see, we have some artists in the house tonight, and we have some of their creations in front of us, and they are the guest of Commissioner Hatcher, and she's going to introduce them real quick to us.
Miss Jessica from the Montessori Academy is going to speak and give us some information about what we're looking at, you guys.
Hi, I'm Jessica Eldridge. I'm the school leader at Battle Creek Montessori Academy. We are located in Springfield, Michigan. This is our big February project to honor Black history. Students are given an outline of what to do. It's a 5-pocket biography person, and these are some of their creations that they created at home, outside of school, and brought in for presentations and a gallery walk. And I have some of our friends with me over here, and some of their artwork is in front of us.
Awesome. How about we bring them up and take a picture real quick?
Zach.
Have them grab the one that they, if their piece of work is up here, and we'll have them take a picture in front of us. That's me. Great job, guys. Great job. Living in harmony.
I think it's the hair that's throwing me off.
Yeah, I have to grow a tail.
Oh, let me see.
I was going to say.
Yep.
Oh, I love that.
All right, gather right up here. We're going to take your picture. And we thank you for coming tonight and providing us with your art to display tonight. It's beautiful.
Everybody say snow day.
Everybody says snow day. All right. Yeah. Good job, you guys. All right. We're going to move on. Petitions, consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Support.
Have a motion support. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Special committee workshop board reports. Anybody? Mr. Tompkins.
Sir. Thank you, Chair. As a matter of fact, the County Planning Commission met yesterday, March 4th. Some of the items we discussed and actions that were taken. First and foremost, we received the resignation from Scott Fleming We certainly appreciate his service to the commission during his time, and obviously he's moving on, so again, we wish him well. We also previewed the annual 2019 report that will be coming before us here soon. And then we also recommend approval for a PA 116 application in Sheridan Township, as well as zoning text amendments in Penfield Township for solar energy facilities and urban livestock. Zoning text amendments in Marengo Township for recreational marijuana facilities, with also providing some additional recommendations for them regarding that ordinance. Zoning map amendment for Marengo Township, and finally zoning text amendment in Lee Township for solar energy systems. So a lot of things going on, certainly with solar energy across Calhoun County. So a lot of good things to come. Thank you very much. That's all I have this evening.
Thank you. Just to let the commissioners know, the buttons are not working tonight, so it's not your fault. If you want to say something, just raise your hand. Me. We'll look like a debate.
Looking like crazy.
Mr. Hatcher.
No, I did that 2 meetings ago.
Right.
I was
Everything?
No, I'm good.
Go ahead.
So the Local Revenue Sharing Board had their check presentation. This happened between the last meeting we had, and I was the fourth choice, but 3 people weren't able to accept the check, so I gladly did. Almost $5.9 million, I think $5.855 million that's funneled into the Local Revenue Sharing Board.
I think you should have been
from
first in line
firekeepers.
for that then.
So that's money that will be, it's payment in lieu of taxes. A lot of people don't have any idea of how it's really spent. They're a sovereign nation, so they don't pay taxes, so this is payment in lieu of, but it's ultimately a little bit of a formula. As you heard Helen say, the senior millage is going to get funds from them too now, or still does, but this will replace those dollars as if they were tax-paying entity. So thank you. Good.
And thanks for representing us. Nope. Anybody else? All right, we'll move on. We don't have any unfinished business. I'm going to turn it over to the County Administrator Controller, Kelly Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to add on to a couple of the reports that you just received. First, with our County Planning Commission, with Scott Fleming's resignation and another vacancy, we now have 2 vacancies, and so we'll be getting information out through Lucy pretty soon to be seeking members of the public who are interested. One of them is the Economic Development seat, and I think the other one might be Tourism. Does that sound right, Gary?
You're right.
And then with the Firekeepers Local Revenue Sharing Board, the next step is to reimburse any local governments that have increased costs related to the casino or the reservation. Those applications will formally go out next week, and they're due back on April 17. The next meeting is May 1st, and that's really when we'll hear from the local governments who are seeking reimbursement. So those are 2 follow-ups. On February 25th, we had our countywide leadership meeting, which was full of, I think we had almost all of our department heads and elected officials and judicial administrators. And just a couple of the highlights. It's a really good meeting we go around the table and share kind of the highlights of what's going on in departments, and just a few of them. Our public defender, Dave Macklid, was there, and he talked about implementing a new workflow and case management software. So we have a countywide system through OnBase that the courts use, and there's a new special module developed just for public defenders' offices. Good news is this is paid for by the state grant. So that's coming. And then our treasurer, Brian Wensauer, reported that last year the county earned over $400,000 in interest on our investments, which is the highest I've ever seen. Even with low interest rates, he has done a phenomenal job, and we've worked with him to pool the cash and just manage the cash flow in a much better way to maximize those earnings. That's most of that, comes to the county general fund as revenue. And then our assistant administrator, Brad Wilcox, talked about the continuation of implementing our furniture plan that has a lot to do with not just furniture. It has to do with ergonomics. It has to do with improving public spaces and break areas for employees. But the biggest thing that I'm excited about that's coming next is we're doing a declutter day or a week, however long it takes, and sometime in April. So within the next month or 2, you will see a big difference within all of the county buildings as far as old furniture, old equipment, old supplies sitting around. We're making a formal effort with our consultants to make that happen. So very exciting, and then they'll decide how to dispose of that, to either donate it or scrap it or whatever needs to happen. A couple other board and committee reports. I have our Information Technology Executive Committee met February 28. Commissioner Smith chairs that. And we saw a pretty good presentation from Lucy Blair on the brand new website, which is scheduled to go live next week. Can I say that? Is it really going to happen?
Yes.
Going live next week. And
Wednesday.
just a huge improvement, especially when you're viewing it on your phones and tablets. It's so much more intuitive and simpler and up to date, which is very cool. The road department hosted all of our township supervisors to an annual or biannual meeting on March 2nd, reviewed the plans for the construction projects this summer, and reviewed in a pretty detailed way the board policy 509, which has been updated throughout last year, and the Commissioner Tompkins was there and kind of took a straw poll, and we got some pretty positive feedback on the improvements of that. They seem very pleased with the increased ability to cost share, and we had a few township supervisors talk about their sort of newly developed desire to turn a few miles of road to gravel at the county's expense. So that was a very positive meeting. The Summit Point Board met on March 3rd. Commissioner Vetty chairs that board. We heard about some pretty exciting strategic initiatives that Summit Point is working on with some other community partners that has a lot to do with creating more of an urgent care center for those struggling with mental health crises. So a lot of that depends on community funding and grant funding, but much more to come on that. And that concludes my report.
Okay.
So, actually, no, one more thing. This morning was the Marshall Economic Outlook event, and we had a couple of commissioners there, Tompkins and Frisbee were there, and a few of our other county officials, and it was very positive. I think the Battle Creek Economic Outlook was very positive as well. A lot of development going on throughout our communities. In Marshall, the focus is really on some pretty valuable land that we have within the industrial park, and also in some pretty good corridors close to the highway. And then also we heard from Representative Matt Hall, who talked about some new road funding bills that it looks like were introduced today. So there's still a little bit of confusion about the bottom line, but apparently the House Representatives is proposing some bills that would delete the sales tax on fuel, replace it with an excise tax. So the thought is, let's get a dedicated source of funding that goes directly to local roads, not just state roads. So that always sounds like a good thing, additional funding that would go to county roads. I'm a little confused about, it doesn't seem to go through Act 51. And obviously, if you take source of funding from one place and give it to the roads, it seems to create a gap in funding for the state's general fund. So I think the goal is to then force the discussion about how do we get new funding for the state, and if we put the road funding where it should go, then maybe the legislators will be more willing on both sides of the House to work on just the overall issue, which is there's not enough money to go around. So interested in seeing how that shakes out. So in new business tonight, we have 8 items. First one, 12B1, starts on page 36. If you got we did have to revise the agenda, so hopefully if you're looking at the latest version of that. And this is an item that comes to us every year from Treasurer. I think he's at a conference maybe. But this is the request for authorization for the Treasurer to issue delinquent tax anticipation notes. So this is an allowable source of financing. Actually, Melinda's here, our Deputy Treasurer, so she can maybe answer questions. But the law allows for county treasurers to issue general obligation limited tax notes. So these are backed by the county's full faith and credit. Ultimately, it's just short-term financing so that the treasurer's office can make whole all of the local units of government, the schools, the community college, immediately for the delinquent taxes from the previous year. It helps with their cash flow, and the treasurer, once they collect delinquent taxes, will be able to pay that back almost always within a year. And it's very low interest rate financing. And of course, the treasurer's office has worked with bond counsel and financial advisors to draft this 25-ish page resolution with all the legalese. So we ask for your approval.
You want to add anything to it, for?
It looks like we're looking at a rough total about 5 million.
Okay.
Just to give you guys kind of idea, last year we had 10.5 come over delinquent. We're assuming it's going to be close to the same. I just started settlement. I downloaded Marshall Township and Sheridan today, so they're starting to come in. Battle Creek City and Albion are our bigger ones that come in later. But usually Brian does try to get it paid off within a year.
Good. All right, can I have a motion to approve the resolution to authorize delinquent tax anticipation notes as presented?
Support.
Have a motion support. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Frisbee?
Yes.
Commissioner Key?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Betty?
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, item 12B2 starts on page 60. This is a staffing allocation change request. So in accordance with our budget resolution, if we're adding positions, that needs board approval. In this case, it's coming from the Public Defender's Office. So Public Defender's Office is still in the process of gearing up to full staffing level, which was authorized at a total of 18. With that, out of the 18, 7 of those were staff attorneys, and the rest were support staff and investigators and management. So this would increase the total from 18 to 19. And what Mr. Macklid is requesting or recommending is that instead of, for the arraignment specifically that require to have a public defender present, he was using a contract attorney, and it just wasn't working out in the best way. So he is recommending that duty be handled by an on-staff attorney. So we'd be increasing the on-staff attorneys from 7 to 8, and then reducing the number of contract attorneys by the same amount. So it doesn't have any impact on the county's budget because all of the increased costs for his office are covered by state grant, and he really believes this will make things run much more efficiently for the benefit of the courts and the whole justice system.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the changes to the 2020 authorized staffing allocation report for the Public Defender's Office as presented?
So moved.
Support.
Have a motion support. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Key?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Betty?
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee?
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion carries.
Item 12B3 is on page 61, and this one is coming, I guess, jointly from County Administration and our prosecutor, Dave Gilbert, who is here tonight. So this is the recommendation that you authorize an agreement for staffing and workload analysis for the prosecutor's office. This is a follow-up to, I will say, many years. I've been here 11 years and have been hearing concerns from our various prosecutors about being understaffed, specifically, mostly in the area of criminal attorneys. Not criminal attorneys, but attorneys who handle criminal work. Most recently, those of you that were on the Budget Committee last year received a memo in September from Mr. Gilbert that we talked about during budget hearings. And he did a really good job drawing similarities to a study that had data to support staffing levels for another county in the state of Minnesota that was roughly similar size to our county, and it was done by an agency called the Prosecutors Center for Excellence out of New York. They are made up of, it was founded by a former prosecutor from the state of New York who was a prosecutor for many, many years, and then moved to the dark side world of consulting. And she does a lot of work in consulting and best practices committees. So she said a lot of states, the Prosecutors Association have best practice committees, and they engage this company to help them come up with statewide best practices. And so she's even done some work with the state of Michigan's committee to do that. And so what we're recommending is, in order to provide some independent data and independent analysis, not only on staffing levels and workloads, but also best practices that would help efficiency and effectiveness within the prosecutor's office and throughout the justice system, we're asking for this independent study. They are proposing a fixed amount, roughly $44,000, which always sounds like a lot of money. I can tell you that we have found that consultants are necessary in a lot of areas. For example, we are doing the countywide public transit study. It's about $175,000. Fortunately, almost all of that was grant funded. We're getting ready to select a consultant that will help us select a new countywide software system for finance and HR. That one is likely to be a similar amount. And the bottom line is they should, if we do this right, they should have a big return on investment. We should be able to, and we saw in the example study that was provided with my conversations with the lead consultant, that a lot of these recommendations can, through the conversations and through the study, can be implemented even before the report is produced. And so I think it's something that we've needed for a long time. When Prosecutor Hallisey was here, he did a similar time study that none of us can find, but there's been efforts internally to try to figure this out, and I am really actually excited. This study will take several months. It will definitely be with a lot of input from Dave and with his staff, and it will include time study of who's doing what, interviews, and data about caseloads. So I'm excited about it. I want to give Dave an opportunity to talk about. I think one of the things, I won't speak for you, but he might say it doesn't take $45,000 for me to tell you that I need at least 2 people right away and probably 5, but I'm more concerned with the bigger picture, and I still think this will be a great outcome.
The only reason I say 2 attorneys is because I have 2 judges that want 2 attorneys in their courtroom, and I just cannot give them to them. The information I gave you at the last budget, or when we were doing the budget the last time, when I was making the recommendation for those extra attorneys, I was only talking about the criminal law division of my office. We also have an abuse neglect division that has 1 attorney, and we have a juvenile division also that has 1 attorney. And these attorneys, they deal with more than 1 courtroom. So I'm expecting when this caseload's through, when this study is done, they're not going to just be looking at criminal. They're going to be looking at the entire office and the entire area that the prosecutor's office covers in our county.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the agreement for a staffing and workload analysis of the Calhoun County Prosecuting Attorney's Office as presented, and authorize the County Administrator Controller to sign the agreement and execute any other documents necessary to engage the Prosecutor's Center for Excellence for this study?
So moved.
Support. I have a motion support. Is there any discussion?
Excuse me.
Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Betty?
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, now we switch to road department items. 12B4 starts on page 69. This is our annual required road mileage certification report. I'll apologize on behalf of John Midgley. He is out sick and was not able to be here tonight. So we'll cover for him. This is really simple. We're required to have the Board of Commissioners approve this certification, which is about a 200-page report that shows every single township and all of the roads that are under the jurisdiction of the County Road Department. There were no changes from last year, and so this is just a requirement that we submit this to the state in order to get our Act 51 road funding.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the annual road millage certification as presented and authorize the board chair and county administrator to electronically sign necessary documents on behalf of Calhoun County?
So moved.
Support.
Have a motion support. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Tompkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Betty?
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee?
Yes.
Commissioner Peete?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion carries.
Item 12B5 starts on page 221. This is a recommended new policy for the road department, and it's called the Utility Construction Requirement Policy. This was modeled after policies, similar policies in other counties. Our county just didn't have one, our county road commission. And the goal is to address trying to keep our roads safe and repaired, and projects that are in the right of way from utility companies. It's just more sort of consistency about issuing permits and sort of regulating the quality of work and making sure that the conditions are restored. And they said that there have been some issues of inconsistency and failure to notify, and work that's not really done within the requirements of the permit. John worked with our corporation counsel, who has reviewed this, and we think it's a pretty simple but yet necessary policy just to make the rules clear and hopefully better protect our roads.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the utility construction requirements policy as presented?
Support.
Have a motion support. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Betty?
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee?
Yes.
Commissioner Key?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins?
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion carries.
The next two items are bid awards for road department items. Item 12B6 starts on page 226. This is a request for approval of a bid award for pavement markings. So recommendation is a 2-year bid to PK Contracting. They were the low bid, and they were our incumbent. And I will, at this point, turn it over to our Assistant County Administrator, Brad Wilcox.
I would just add that in this particular bid, it was a 4% decrease over the previous contract, which for the life of the contract represents about $44,000 in savings. So it's nice to see a trend line going in our direction. It hasn't been for a while. Just a trivia note, Lake City is where PK Contracting is from. You might know it's between Traverse City and Cadillac. But you might not know it's the Christmas tree capital of the world. So maybe something else besides paving.
Trivia.
Yeah. Excellent.
Okay.
All right.
That's profound.
Is there anything else to add to this?
I think that covers it.
Okay.
Bid out our Christmas tree.
Can I have a motion to award a 2-year contract with PK Contracting Incorporated for the provision of pavement markings for Calhoun County Road Department and Jackson County Department of Transportation in an estimated amount at $550,000 as presented, and authorize the board chair to sign the contract on behalf of the county?
So moved.
Support.
Have a motion support. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Hatcher?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee?
Yes.
Commissioner Key?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yeah.
Commissioner Tompkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Betty?
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion carries.
Next item, 12B7, is on page 307. This is a recommended bid award for cold patch materials. I did want to mention that both of these items tonight are joint bids with Calhoun and Jackson's road departments. I mentioned that in our township supervisors meeting. We're obviously not collaborating as much with management, and we don't talk about our collaboration with Jackson County, but this is one area that is still, the collaboration is very strong and continues to, I think, save us and produce the best results on bidding. So kudos for keeping that going, and I'll turn it over to Brad again.
Yeah, that's a good segue. This is one of those recommendations that goes back over a year ago. We were using MDOT specification for cold patch and getting it from Lakeland. And there was a number of issues, and nobody seemed to be really satisfied with how the product was performing. Jackson went out mid-year and started getting a mix from Capital Asphalt, which is out of Lansing. It was a different mix. It had less oil or emulsion in it. Instead of natural stone, they used limestone, so it was just a completely different mix. And they were very satisfied with that, so Calhoun got some of that product late in the year, tried it. So when we developed specifications for this year's mix, we mimicked the Capital Asphalt, not the MDOT spec that we had used in the previous years. So we got the product, we got the bids in. We had SME, who's our testing agency, did the testing on it to make sure it met spec. We got loads from 4 of the contractors from Capital, out of Canton, Michigan, Lakeland, obviously at Battle Creek, Capital out of Lansing, and then ACE out of Saginaw was the one. So we got 3 different samples, and we tested. At that point, we gave it to the road workers, took it out to the field, and put product in patched holes. Jackson was very satisfied with the way it performed. Calhoun was accepting as well. I don't think they were quite as, I'd say, enthusiastic as Jackson, but with some minor tweaks, it maybe had a little too much oil in it, which is not usually the case when we're looking at product. So at the end of that point, this was the appropriate bid. We're recommending Lakeland. They are the low bidder. at $103 for what we're calling Mix B, which was an alternate mix. It is about 10% more than what we paid last year. But again, because we still consider this at Calhoun to be a test year, we're recommending capital asphalt as a secondary, so that if Lakeland doesn't meet the quality standards logistically, delivery-wise, it doesn't work for them, then we have capital as a backup. Capital for their Mix B is $133 a ton, so it's significantly more. So on the basis of Lakeland providing us the new mix as tested and low bid at $103 per ton, we're recommending that.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the one-year contract with Lakeland Asphalt Corporation and Capital Asphalt to provide bituminous cold patching material to the Calhoun County Road Department and the Jackson County Department of Transportation as presented, and authorize the board chair to sign the contract on behalf of the county?
So moved.
Have a motion support. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee?
Yes.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Betty?
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher?
Yes.
Selena?
Motion carries.
Okay, the last action item tonight, which was just added to our agenda within the last day, is 12B8. That's on page 383. This is a request that you approve an employer emergency response authority related to the COVID-19 virus or coronavirus. So reason we just added this as because things are just changing daily. Several of us through our various associations and through the health department are literally getting guidance for employers on a daily basis. And so far, before this, we have really focused on employee hygiene. Our message has been, there's not any confirmed cases within Michigan or within Calhoun County, so we're relying on the state and federal government to tell us what to do. And they are giving us good advice about washing hands and don't touch your face and all that good stuff. We're starting to also, as an employer, feel like the county needs to be responsive to our employees. And we've just started getting questions from employees who definitely are experiencing some stress and worry about not just the hygiene, but what is the county doing to try to provide a safe workplace? What would happen? What could happen? So we tried to keep this simple and not specific, because when you ask what would happen and what could happen, we're not sure. It could take all kinds of shape. We're watching, in particular, the county out in Washington and the Seattle area, that the county government has taken steps like they're purchasing a hotel to try to isolate people. I mean, they have a high number of cases, so we're not really sure what shape this will take. In best case scenario, county administration wouldn't need any additional authority. We don't really need to do anything other than continue to promote personal hygiene. What could happen is that something happens that is not urgent enough that we can just bring some sort of policy waiver or change to the next board meeting. But our administrative executive team met on Wednesday like we always do, and we talked about a lack of a comfort with just kind of taking the wait-and-see approach. Based on the legal advice we're getting, the advice from the HR associations and from our health department, we felt like we should really take a proactive stance to put us in a position that in the worst case that something urgent happened to one of our employees, to their family, or to the community that impacted our ability to continue business or certain employees' ability to continue to do their job status quo, that we would like the ability to employ those strategies on an immediate basis. So that we're trying to focus really on HR-related policies that around leave time, around compensation. So we have union agreements that will still be in place. We'll still have to work within those and work with the unions if we need to try to adjust those. We still have budget controls in place and those limitations. We still have safety and labor laws that will not go away. We have our judiciary has some independent authority and separate policies. So it's a complicated course, set of rules within county government. The health department has some independent authority to do things within the community. So all of those limitations are still in place. So this is pretty limited to just to the items that relate to our policies, such as facilities use, our non-union employee benefits and compensation, things that relate to what if we had to try to allow an employee who didn't have any paid time off left to not come to work and encourage that, if we had to work with a more flexible workplace, things like that. And we're also focusing on making sure that we don't discriminate. There are rules about protecting people's personal and medical records. So it is pretty generic, and we understand that, but it was done on purpose just to give us some flexibility and so that we can make sure that our employees understand that we do take their safety pretty seriously. Just on another note, we are doing some things that don't require your approval, but just so that you know, we are issuing additional hand sanitizers to our employees through our wellness committee through HR. They're alcohol-based spray, so they're nice to just carry around. We are looking at possibly getting some hand sanitizer stations for the walls in heavy traffic areas in our public buildings, although it's hard to find those right now. So we're working on that. We are working with our contracted cleaning company to ramp up the routine hygiene cleaning a little bit more around doorknobs and surfaces, things like that. So so far, we're not promising that the coronavirus will not come here. In fact, we keep reading things that say, it's more likely to spread worldwide than not. It's also likely to affect a lot of us in very minimal or zero symptom ways. But I think this is the most responsible thing that we can do. And of course, we're doing this with Jim's blessing, and hope that you will support just giving us some flexibility to do something urgent in the case that we need to.
Can I have a motion to authorize the administrator controller to modify or permit exceptions to any existing county policy or established practice that, as an employer, may be considered necessary in response to the COVID-19 virus, including strategies to reduce transmissions among staff, protect people at higher risk for adverse health complications, maintain business operations, and minimize adverse effects on other entities. This power is effective until revoked by resolution of the Calhoun County Board of Commissioners.
Support.
Have a motion support. Is there any discussion? I just think it's a great idea that we're not panicking, and that's what I encourage the public. Working in healthcare, I get to deal with this stuff a little bit up close sometimes. You just have to recognize signs and symptoms. You have to, like you said, hand washing. Your mom was right. Wash your darn hands. It's the most effective thing to prevent spread. Cover your cough, those kind of things. But when you have, how many employees we have?
700 plus.
Yeah. When you have 700 plus employees, you have to have a plan. And instead of reacting at the last moment, it's a good thing to be planning ahead. So I'm glad you've taken this step. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Frisbee?
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries. Our next item is citizens' time. The same rules apply as during the first citizens' time. Please limit your time to 3 minutes and no negative personal comments. Anyone like to address their commissioners? Tom Shaw, you don't want to? You sure? All right. We'll move on. Commissioners' time. Mr. Tompkins.
Thank you, Chair. We just want to, earlier this evening, I also attended the Albion Economic 2020 Outlook forecast at the Marriott this evening. Dick Porter, Sheridan Township Supervisor, was on hand to talk about certainly the massive expansion and explosion, if you will, in his township relative to solar energy systems, looking at anywhere between 6,000 to 7,000 acres in Sheridan Township that will be consumed with solar panels at some point, and with the going rate being anywhere from $600 to $900 an acre. These farmers are finding it very difficult to pass up an opportunity to have that land leased in over a 25-year period. So lots of good things certainly coming from that. Mayor Atchison from the City of Albion was on hand talking about the major expansion and development that's being done in downtown in the City of Albion. Certainly with all the loft departments that are in place are going to be happening, and so a lot of positive things going on there. And then finally, Jim Roby from the Upjohn Institute was there to talk about the nation, certainly the national trends, and certainly as well as the state and county and regional trends as well. So just some things going on there. And then I just wanted to take an opportunity tonight to thank my fellow colleagues and everyone who's reached out to me and offered your thoughts and prayers to my daughter Lauren and my family during this very difficult time. As many of you know or heard that my daughter's fiance John Sinovic, who was my soon-to-be son-in-law, and very much looking forward to that, passed away suddenly on March 3rd at the age of 32. We are certainly devastated by the situation. A firefighter who got my daughter to become a firefighter, and the things they did together, so it was pretty cool to see that, as well as studying to be an EMT. And I know I've talked to Chair Frisbee about it, and he was very excited about becoming that as well. And in addition to all that, he was a successful business owner at Devil's Lake Boat Gallery, and he ran that business with his family. And my daughter was able to get in that, and most importantly, love my daughter's life. My son Chip's buddy, spent a lot of time together, my young son with him. And then John was just an amazing person with a smile and full of fun, and certainly we're going to miss him tremendously. Sunday will be very difficult for the family, and he's certainly in our hearts forever. But again, I just want to thank all of you for reaching out and expressing your concern and your thoughts and prayers to my family. It's much appreciated. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else? We'll move on. Claims payable. Can I have a motion to approve claims payable for February 14th, 2020 through February 27th, 2020 in the amount of $2,416,919.20 as presented?
Support.
Have a motion, support. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Motion passes. Announcements from the 7th District.
We got to go on a much better, lighter note this evening. Now we'll change gears here a little bit. This Saturday, March 7th, the Forks Senior Center in Albion will be hosting a Elvis tribute concert to be performed by Colin Dexter. Many of you may know Colin Dexter, and he's an amazing imitator, I guess, if you will. But he does a great job with it. The concert will be at the Marshall Opportunity High School in Albion beginning at 7 p.m. on Saturday. It's just $10, and come out and just really bring a smile to your face. I'll be there to manage the doors and making sure that nobody gets in that doesn't need to get in, and so it ought to be a great time. And then on a very, like I said, lighter note, on March 12th, Laughter, Lasagna, and Lessons will be taking place. It's a free dinner with a keynote speech called Laughing Matters. It will be conducted by renowned author and inspirational educational speaker, Dr. Mary Bigler. It'll be at the Homer High School starting at 5:30. There'll be many sessions for parents on homework help, parenting tips, raising a reader, resume help, and help especially with teen and youth mental health, which is a very, very big issue in today's world. Should be very informative evening focusing on parents and children. So again, lots of stuff going on. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right.